he wants his light heavyweight belt back, right? Daniel has both of them. Daniel's saying he's going to wait till he fights Brock. So I don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of, so you got to figure out Cormier, then you got to figure out John, then we got to figure out certain things with John, and then, get this whole thing going in a direction that makes sense for everybody involved. So Cormier is either going to fight him at light heavyweight, or Cormier is going to go fight heavyweight and wait for Brock. So I don't know, which route he's going to go. So I'm assuming, this is my assumption, so no one run with this. If he goes and fights DC, if he stays and waits for Brock, then I assume they're going to take the belt and put it up for grabs between John and Gustafsson. I think Gustafsson's the next guy in line, and I think John would have a claim to that opportunity to fight for the light heavyweight belt. If he doesn't, if DC decides to fight at light heavyweight before he fights Brock, then I think you see John versus DC. I think those are the two logical options. I just don't know for sure which route that they go.
Well, Hendricks, for a while, had some magic power in his hands. It was weird. Dude. But it's weird is that it went away. It didn't make any sense. I mean, I don't know if he got injured, if his shoulder got fucked up, if he couldn't throw the way he used to be able to throw. Whatever it was, USADA, whatever it was, whatever got him. But goddamn, it just went away. And then he became not a dangerous striker.
You know what? The reason why my knockout power left is, all right, so if you're sitting here doing this and this and this, and you're knocking everybody out, right? Let's say you're knocking everybody out. What are they going to start worrying about? Are they going to worry about my wrestling, or are they going to worry about my left hand? You're right. So everybody I started fighting, they would circle to their right, and that would stay away from my left hand. But with MMA, you can't just charge in there because they're 4-ounce gloves. You got to worry about knees. You got to worry about kicks. There's a lot that plays into that factor. Where boxing, I can still use my power. And also, with that being said, is that nowadays there's so much footage. And you also got to think, all right, Robbie used to knock people out. He doesn't do it anymore. Does that make sense? Once you hit it, there's a certain point where you hit hard competition day in and day out. You can't win everyone by knockout. And I think that's what sort of pushed me, sort of hurt me in my sense, is that I didn't fall back on my wrestling. If I'd have fell back on my wrestling after I knocked out a couple of people and the next one didn't happen, and the next one didn't happen, if I'd have fell back to my wrestling, started making people fear my wrestling again, I think my knockouts would have been back. Because then they would be like, oh, well, he might take me down, or he can knock me out. Which one would I rather get done?
Now, you fought Conor, I guess it was 4 years ago now. What was there as much of him being as psychologically good at fighting before the fight as he does now?
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
Did it get to you at all?
Yeah, back then I didn't think it did, but looking back at it, it definitely did.
So I'm wondering, because I watched the press conference with Khabib, and it seemed like he was, he fed into it where he shouldn't have. He got defensive about the picture with Vladimir Putin, and let me explain. And I was surprised that he kind of fed back into that. I'm like, fucking Conor may have found a way into his head.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, competing and performing is sitting at a press conference and thinking about stuff a guy's saying, and then turning all that off and going out there and competing is a whole different thing. I had trouble doing that, turning it off and competing. Khabib might not. We'll see. That's what makes this matchup and everything so interesting.
And if he starts threatening, like, Khabib's in front of him, and every time just your back leg for him, his left leg, he knees. Even if it's just in the air, just give him the illusion that when you're going to shoot in, I'm going to catch your head on my knee. You see what I mean? That might stop the takedown. But then again, once you plant your feet in order to knock somebody out, that's the moment Khabib's probably going to go for the takedown.
That doesn't happen that once in a while. I guess I'm thinking Weidman Romero was the last time I saw that. Has that happened a lot since then? A guy getting knocked out coming in. I'm sure it does happen.
It's also when you're shooting to the opposite side.
Right.
And plus, if it's even if it's not happening, it's planting a seed in the head.
That it could.
Right? So if you're a fighter and you want to go for a takedown and you see at the moment you make a move, suddenly the knee comes up, you're going to go, oh, I got to watch out. It might stop him in his track.
Right.